Line at 259 WKRN.
This is a Nightline Friday night special.
It's easy to see just how hard the North Carolina coast was hit by Hurricane Fran. Inland, it's more difficult to understand just how bad it was.
The first year that corn's been a decent price, and I guess the last 20 years. And then this happens to us.
Despite the preparation, despite all the hard work, the people of Tabor City, North Carolina, are hurting.
This is a devastating blow to all of us. Our community and our county. It'll take a number of years to recover, if we recover.
Tonight, weathering the storm, one town pulls together.
This is ABC News Nightline. Substituting for Ted Koppel and reporting from Washington, Forrest Sawyer.
To best understand how one small community is struggling to keep from being swept away by Hurricane Fran, we should first take a look at how deep and wide the path of destruction has been. Fran has left at least 20 people dead, tens of thousands homeless, and 2 million people across 3 states without power. Though the hurricane is now officially a tropical depression, it still covers an enormous area and continues to push north, spawning tornadoes, dumping heavy rain and raising floodwaters. And the problems will go on through the weekend. As with all storms, though, there is the luck of the draw. In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina today, they're counting their blessings.
I'm just glad that I didn't hit here, and of course there was others that were unfortunate further up north.
At the last minute last night, the storm veered just north of Myrtle Beach and left residents able to enjoy the morning. The real problems were up the coast. In Southport, North Carolina, they woke up to find part of their pier gone and some roads impassable. In Carolina Beach, the bridge was closed, timbers were short, and the roads were just as bad.
There's sand all on the streets about waist high. There's a house in the middle of Canal Drive.
A little farther away in Curie Beach, the storm's damage was even worse, with many of the residents left homeless. And in hard-hit Topsail Beach, much of the town itself was underwater. Many of the area's boats scattered and broken. By this afternoon, the biggest problems were inland. In Fayetteville, North Carolina, a little less than 100 miles from the coast, the high winds left trees down and cars underwater. And in Lynchburg, Virginia, the flooding was so severe that rescue workers were paddling out to evacuate people who hadn't been quick enough to get out ahead of the rains. ABC's Jack Smith has been traveling through southwestern Virginia, where many of the rivers have been flooding. Jack, how bad is it?
Well, Forrest, a lot of people don't know it, but these storms can stay quite lethal even when they move inland. And the reason is that the typical hurricane that does so slams right into the Appalachian Mountains, not far from here, where I spent the day in southwestern Virginia. Suddenly, gullies and streams fill with water, and presto, you have the flash flooding that makes these weather systems so dangerous.
The wind was still blowing when Fran roared into Virginia. Some gusts were clocked at 50 miles an hour, enough to bring down trees and knock out power to more than 350,000 customers, the biggest outage in Virginia history, according to the power company. But it was the rain that people worried about most. In places around here, as much as 10 inches fell in 24 hours, enough to turn the smallest streams into dangerous, raging rivers. This one spilled over its banks onto a road. And if the drivers seem cautious, it's because it only takes a foot or so of water to stall many cars. But there wasn't much traffic. People wisely stayed home and listened to their radios.
Flash flood warning effective until 12:10 today. Don't try to drive through high water.
In Danville, the Dan River is still rising. It's expected to crest tomorrow at a record 23 feet above normal. The area saw rain earlier this week, and the hurricane only made things worse. At the Salvation Army here, they know just how people are feeling.
Well, they're dealing with probably the river now.
it rising, and they're probably concerned about the flooding after the aftermath of all the physical damage that the wind and the rain caused.
60 miles away in Lynchburg, flooding forced some families living right along the James River to evacuate. And rescue workers made sure the kids were safe. Flooding, power outages, altogether a frightening storm, but still it could have been a lot worse if the hurricane had been a bit stronger and if people had not paid attention to those warnings about flash floods, but they did. Forrest?
ABC's Jack Smith. Thank you, Jack. When we return, 24 hours in one struggling North Carolina town where Hurricane Fran was an unwelcome guest.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Toyota.
If you were to take every honor, every award, everything positive that's been said about the Toyota Camry, and lay them end to end, you'd probably ask yourself, why did I do that? Better to drive one yourself and come up with a few accolades of your own. The 1996 Camry, the gold standard from Toyota.
How's your job?
Great. There's still a lot of stress, though.
You still getting those headaches?
Yeah, I actually went to the doctor. I thought they might be migraines. He said they weren't. He told me to take Tylenol, extra strength.
Tylenol? Not some prescription, huh?
The Tylenol works great, Dad.
More than aspirin, more than ibuprofen. For headaches, doctors recommend Tylenol the most.
You should have come to work for me, Julie.
Oh, sure. No stress there.
Sunday on This Week, will Saddam Hussein continue to defy the U.S. and the UN? Questions for UN Ambassador Albright and key senators Lugar and Nunn. Sunday.
Here are some of the needs in our area. First Steps Heads Up Preschool with some developmentally delayed children needs baby wipes, large diapers, washcloths, towels, and a record player. High Hopes Therapeutic Preschool and Resource Center for Special Needs Children desperately needs a 4-drawer file cabinet. The Salvation Army Transitional Housing Unit has need of someone to help coach English as a foreign language to one of its Laotian residents. Friendship Hospice Memorial Foundation needs socks, underclothing, food boxes, and personal hygiene items for their indigent patients. The National Hemophilia Foundation needs a window air conditioning unit any size for one of his families. If you are a nonprofit agency with needs, write WKRN at this address or call 298-9801.
When a hurricane blows in, we usually hear about the beach communities, how many houses are lost or boats destroyed. But the pain can often be worse miles inland, where money's harder to come by, and a storm's destruction can pack a lot more force. ABC's Michael Gillen spent some time before and after the hurricane with the people of Tabor City, North Carolina.
Tabor City is one of the poorest towns in North Carolina, in the country. A third of the folks here live below the poverty level, and many don't have a high school education.
This is a poor part of the country. A lot of people work on farms. A lot of people don't make a great deal of money. I don't think a lot of people here think they're poor.
Dennis Worley is a lawyer in Tabor City, but yesterday he was busy helping his brother Chandler batten down his farm and bring in as much corn as possible.
Last night we harvested corn till late in the morning because the corn that's in the field will probably be blown down.
But most of all, they're worried about the cattle and Chandler's valuable tobacco crop, most of which has been picked and is drying out in these barns. If the heaters lose power for more than a few hours, the tobacco leaves will rot.
Fire, go. We've lost power.
For now, it's a false alarm, but it's only the beginning of a long, stormy night ahead.
I'm going to just ride it out. Tomorrow I'll just pick up the pieces and go on. Make the best of a bad situation.
You have a nice day.
At the local grocery store, food and supplies were disappearing off the shelves, while residents themselves were disappearing to different places.
Well, the Lord is going to take care of me just as well in my house as he will at that school. And I got my trust in him, so. Some people say they're going to ride it out. If they got something to ride it out, let them ride it out. But this, and my family, we leaving, because we stay in a mobile home.
Like tornadoes, hurricanes are especially tough on trailer parks. They crumble under the slightest strong wind.
We'll be all right. You see, you got to see, as long as you got that man up there, everything will be all right. Everything.
And they're serving food back in the cafeteria.
Almost 500 residents decide to play it safe and take shelter at South Columbus High School, which is designed to hold half that many people. Most are migrant workers and people who live in trailer parks.
It's not really stable, and I'm afraid if the hurricane comes through, it might destroy, hurt somebody.
Trailers, mobile homes, you're not safe.
424.
Temple, were you able to check on Anderson Street?
As the center of Hurricane Fran bore down on this little town, police headquarters became the center of emergency operations. This was the moment of truth, and everyone pulled together. Patrolmen and their families, headed by Chief Robert Worcester.
We have a lot of power lines down, a lot of trees blowed over. Got a couple of trees on houses. We've got a gas leak.
Now, you said it two different ways.
By coincidence, this is Ann Long's last day on the job as the chief's assistant, and it would prove to be one of her longest.
I don't think I could have walked out of here at 4 o'clock and not been a part of this today. With all the bonding that we've had tonight, with everybody having to pitch in and be together and pull together, it makes it that much harder to leave.
By further coincidence, this is Jerome Russell's first day on the job as a policeman. He set out to patrol with veteran Sergeant Buster James.
We saw a lot of down lines, down trees, and we're just looking to make sure no one's out looting or anything like that.
For the novice, Hurricane Fran would be a baptism of wind and water that he would not soon forget.
I've seen 5 or 6 hurricanes. I've seen Diana, David, Matthew, Hugo. I've seen about all of them. This is pretty much the worst one we've had so far.
And for the residents of Tabor City, it would be a dark and sleepless night.
Can MasterCard help stop a thief? The answer lies in the tamper-resistant panel that MasterCard pioneered. It makes a stolen credit card practically useless, and your MasterCard even more secure. MasterCard, it's smart money.
Starting soon, Publishers Clearinghouse will surprise 50 winners in 50 states.
This is not for real.
That's one winner in every state, with prizes up to $100,000. Enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes today, and the winner could be you.
How do you take a car that's already the best-selling import in its class and help even more people get into it? Simple. Volvo Value Leasing. See your Volvo retailer today for great lease offers.
Number 1 Nebraska hosts Michigan State, or Georgia Tech meets NC State. They kick off at noon Eastern in Game 1 of a doubleheader, Saturday on ABC's College Football.
Johnny Watkins has a good mind for schoolwork. He has a lot of friends. He has a little brother who looks up to him. Johnny has a lot of things. Last March, he finally got what he really wanted. He and his brother were adopted together and became part of a family. To help a child become part of your family, call 1-800-TO-ADOPT.
Dole's attack ad, wrong again. President Clinton expanded the death penalty to drug kingpins. Nearly 40% more border agents to stop drugs. Record number of drug felons in federal prison. President Clinton expanded school anti-drug programs. Dole and Gingrich tried to cut them, voted against 100,000 police. Bob Dole even voted against creating a drug czar. President Clinton appointed a 4-star general drug czar and is leading the fight to protect our children.
Today is a beautiful sunny day here in Tabor. Folks say that's one of the ironic things about hurricanes. The day after is very often picture perfect. But underneath the blue skies, plenty evidence of Fran's destruction. Uprooted trees and uprooted lives. All around this small town, people were out cutting, raking, sweeping away the mess Hurricane Fran left behind.
Around here, everybody helps each other. A lot of people still don't lock their doors and whatnot. Don't have to worry about that in a small town. And just a nice, quiet neighborhood, and it's a nice place to live.
For his part, Deuce Nivens was out taking pictures. He's the editor of the local newspaper.
Fran really hit a blow here, did a lot of damage in Tabor City with power lines and trees, but nothing like Hazel in 1954. She came through in October and just devastated this part of North Carolina.
Fran may not have measured up to Hazel, but for Ron Heath, she was plenty scary.
About 5 minutes later, the house started shaking, and I just walked in from the back porch into the living room, and it felt like the house was going to blow away. And Slim came down here. My daughter's bedroom, and this other part went down and tore this section off the house.
And that wasn't all. On the other side of the house, a downed tree lifted Ron's house clear off its foundation. And then there was Anthony Washington, who stubbornly stuck it out in his trailer home last night. After seeing what Fran did to his neighbor's roof, he's had a change of heart.
We took it for a joke. We took it for a joke because we was like, well, we thought it'd be like birth to get over in a couple hours, but it lasted longer than we thought it was going to last.
On Main Street, Mama's restaurant was closed for lack of power. But at Dale's Seafood, that didn't stop them. They were cooking up a storm in the dark and with no electricity, only gas.
Listen, this is good. It feels so good to have a good meal.
It takes more than a hurricane to stop us.
Oh, yeah.
It takes an earthquake.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Down the road at Chandler Worley's farm, things could have gone a lot worse. The hurricane peeled back part of his barn roof and leveled some of his corn.
Well, I fared better than most of my neighbors now. I mean, they still had backer in the field. They harvested backer on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I'm afraid they're going to have to throw those barns away.
I was at it. It was rough out here. It was. It was raining hard, wind blowing real hard, and it was dangerous because of objects flying around. You know, I'm afraid we would be hurt.
Last night, when power went out, so did the heaters in Monroe Enzer's tobacco drying barns, dooming that tobacco to ruin.
See, tobacco was ready for harvest yesterday. And today, you see, it's just rotted. It's like a rotten vegetable. Well, this is a devastating blow to all of us.
And out in the fields, his unpicked tobacco leaves were ripped to shreds by Fran's fierce winds.
I'd say last night we lost at least $150,000.
Just the tobacco?
Just on tobacco. I think the town's hurt badly, and it's going to hurt the economy, because when our farming economy is hurt, our businessmen in town are hurt also.
Despite all the damage here, though, this is the Bible Belt, where the strong winds of a hurricane are clearly no match for the residents' strong religious beliefs.
The man above spared me. Me and my wife prayed last night. Prayed from the God protect us.
I believe it's God's work, but He'll take care of us anywhere we're at. When it's pretty and sunshiny or when it's stormy.
It helps us to realize that we don't always control our own destiny and that there's a bigger force out there. And so that's why I say it's almost good for us. But it causes us temporary problems, but we bounce back.
It's the same deep-rooted faith that has sustained the Tabor City area for more than a century, that has seen it through many a storm. Faith that the sun always shines the day after a hurricane.
The family spirit has been that we give out, but we don't give up. My father always told us that. You know, there's no such thing as can't. We're going to try. And that's the way you have to live if you're going to farm and be successful with it. You don't give up.
And when we come back, we will talk with ABC's Michael Gillen about the future for the people of Tabor City.
If you have a headache and can't sleep, call this number for a free booklet from Excedrin PM. Learn the causes of nighttime pain and sleeplessness and some time-tested methods to manage them. For your pain and sleeplessness, we'll also send you a free sample of Excedrin PM. So call us now at 1-800-301-0018. Sleep well from Excedrin PM.
The legendary chalice of Malta has never come cheap. In 1238, it was captured by 10,000 Celts. In 1512, it took an entire armada. And in 1703, it took an arranged marriage to the daughter of Charles V, the older one. But luckily, if you want the golden chalice of Malta, all you need is the golden card of Visa, with extraordinary purchase power for extraordinary things. It's even mightier than the sword. Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
In a Saab 9000 Aero with 225 turbocharged horses, you could have serious fun. You could feel the rush of the torque. And when Automobile Magazine says you must drive this car, you could admire their keen grasp of the obvious. The Saab 9000 Aero. Find your own road. Saab. Take advantage of 0% financing or $3,000 in dealer incentives on the Saab 9000.
Hi, I'm Mike, this is Ashley, and we're an item on the new ABC comedy Spin City.
I'm a reporter, and he's the deputy mayor of New York City. Interview with the governor needs to be scheduled?
She's a workaholic. Postponed the mayor's teleconference at 3:15, canceled his hair appointment.
Yeah, and he's Mr. Laid Back, huh?
Canceled dinner with Ashley.
Inform Mike that if he cancels dinner tonight, he can cancel this relationship.
Canceling dinner with Ashley.
Michael J. Fox is back. Spin City 1 week from Tuesday on ABC.
Literacy changes lives.
It's made a different man out of me.
It was as if I was a new person.
I can now read to my son.
I can put my words in writing.
I'm a more complete person at home, more complete person at the workplace.
When I go to the poll to vote, I know exactly who to vote for.
I feel proud about myself.
I can do anything.
Lawbrock Literacy. Please call.
Joining us now from Tabor City, North Carolina, ABC's Michael Gillen. Michael, you've had a pretty good while now to get out and look around, see how bad things are. How's the damage?
Well, you know, the power is still down in half the town, Forrest, our half of the town. And, you know, telephone lines are still down in large parts of the town. And frankly, even though it was a sunny and beautiful day today, most of the downtown was a ghost town. Most of the businesses never opened. Now, just now, within the last hour, there are a lot of people kind of cruising around. I think it's kind of warm, and with no air conditioning, of course, people are wanting to get out into the cool air. But it's a town that's still trying to dig itself out of this hurricane. A lot of trees, limbs, the things we saw? Yeah, you know, as we cruised around town, these people were fairly efficient early in the day to get out there with their chainsaws, they themselves or the city officials, and cut those trees into pieces and take them off the road and put them on the sidewalk, although they're still piled there. But I got to tell you, what I found so striking was that tree after tree was down by the roots, pulled up by the roots. And I'm talking about old pecan trees, oak trees. There was one in particular almost brought tears to my eye. It was 120 years old. And the guy was out there and he was just agonizing over it. So there is that kind of extensive damage here for us. And it'll probably be, I would imagine, days and weeks before they clean all that up.
City officials, business people have got to now, by this point, be sorting through just how bad the damage is to their businesses and how bad the damage is to some of the services they're going to have to provide. Are they doing that?
Well, they are. You know, I talked to the town administrator today, and he said, well, you know, it is going to be a while. This is a small town. They don't have a big administration. And plus what makes it very difficult to assess the damage here is because you can't just cruise around and say, oh yeah, that building's down or that house is damaged. The wealth of this town does not lie in its physical structures, Forrest. It lies in its agriculture. And that's going to be a while to go around people's cornfields and soybean fields and tobacco fields and determine how much of it was spared and how much of it was damaged. So make no mistake about it. These folks call themselves the yam capital of the world, but this entire economy in this little town is built solidly on tobacco. $16 million of tobacco they produce every year. That's an enormous amount for such a small town. And if that one tobacco farmer's experience is typical, the one you saw in the second piece, then this little town could be in serious danger economically, because there's a kind of a food chain. If you destroy the tobacco, which is at the base, then it has a ripple effect all the way up through all the businesses here in the town. So that remains to be seen.
You know something, Michael? I grew up on a farm, and I can tell you that if we had one bad year, whether it was a freeze or storms, whatever it may be, we were sweating bullets about how we were going to do through the rest of the whole year.
Yeah, you know, that's what people need to understand. I mean, this is just not like a temporary damage to your roof or even the side of your house. That can be rebuilt with insurance money in a fairly short amount of time. But how do you recover a tobacco crop that is destroyed? I mean, that's taken an entire year for the farmer to plant the seeds and the seedlings and to water it and fertilize it and tend to it and all that. If that's destroyed, that person has lost an entire year's livelihood and perhaps bad enough to make him go bankrupt. And that's the problem. We were walking around some of the soybean fields and the corn fields. When that stuff gets blown down on the ground and it's wallowing in the water, it can become moldy and rot, and it's gone for good.
Michael, pull back a little bit and take a longer view. In light of this storm, in light of the kinds of storms that we have seen moving to the southeast from off the coast, what is the future of Tabor City?
Well, what's interesting is the future is pretty much like its present and past. It's kind of built on the streams and rivers that kind of riddle this entire area. You know, we're not that far from the coast. And that's a mixed blessing for us, because those streams and rivers account for the fertility here. This is what the farmers are taking advantage of, on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's also what makes this area prone to flooding, especially during hurricanes like Fran and the ones before that, Hugo and Hazel. And so it's hard to imagine if these folks don't find a way of developing themselves in a non-agricultural way, it's probably going to mean that they're going to keep ping-ponging between, you know, the boom of the fertility and the bust of the flooding periods.
We have been talking about the economics of the town, but really what you pointed out is how this whole town has pulled together to make it through this, as they might any other crisis.
You know, I live in a small town. You said you were raised in a farm. Well, I live in a small town right now in Massachusetts, and I can tell you, having lived most of my life in a big city, the difference. And I saw the small town attitude of people pulling together, helping each other clear their lawns and so forth, put to the real test, not only as we drove around the neighborhood today, but last night at police headquarters. It sounds corny and it sounds old-fashioned, but it's tremendous to see that kind of small town attitude asserting itself against the forcefulness of a powerful hurricane like Fran. I'll never forget it.
ABC's Michael Gillen. Thanks for a good job, Michael. We wish the people in Tabor City well.
Thank you, Forrest.
One program note Sunday on This Week with David Brinkley. The subject is Iraq. Among the guests, the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Madeleine Albright. Before our weekends, we want to welcome our new Birmingham affiliate to the ABC television network, Alabama's ABC 3340. That is our report for tonight. I'm Forrest Sawyer in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Follow the latest from ABC News on politics and the 96 campaign on the World Wide Web at www.politicsnow.com. If you'd like a transcript or video cassette of this or any other edition of Nightline, please call 1-800-913-3434. And Nightline is online with America Online. AOL members use the keyword ABC News.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
It's coming closer, keep your calendar clear. You've got to watch Paul Reiser host the Emmys this year. With some help from Oprah and Michael J. Fox. It's always a dilemma. Can you guess
1996 Emmy Awards, Sunday on ABC.
When I was injured in an accident, I didn't really know what I was going to do, how I was going to feed my family. So I called the law office of Bart Durham. He got me $1.5 million payable over my lifetime.
Not every case is $1 million case like Gary Finn's, but every case is important, and your case is important.
Bart Durham is a former state and federal prosecutor with over 30 years' experience. Call now, 242-9000.
Why do so many people drive to Food Lion?